Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another filling and nutritious and delicious episode of the Retrotopia podcast. My name's Alan, and for episode 71 today, we are talking about our very first Patreon poll-winning episode for the year 2025 with Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, surprisingly enough for the N64. Now, if you are only interested in our talk about Kirby 64, then probably just skip ahead 15 or so minutes, because before we get there, first of all, I have to do some plugs, then we have to talk to some of our wonderful Patreons, gentlemen's interlude and all of that nonsense, and, a couple other bits and pieces that we do here in the intro. So stick around, it's a lot of fun. Or don't, up to you. You do you. So, speaking of plugs, you can find all of our socials at linktree/Retrotopia. That's linktr.ee/Retrotopia. That's all of our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, Blue Sky, YouTube, all of that good stuff. Our Discord as well. You can find a link in there for our Discord with our ever-growing community of like-minded nerds. We'd love to have you come along and join us and just shoot the shit. It's a lot of fun. You can also find a link to our Patreon in there, and for the low price of free, you can join and become one of our Patreons, and you'll be allowed to, funnily enough, vote in polls like the one we've just had for this very episode. You'll be able to comment on episodes. You'll be able to listen to our short review quick play series that comes out every Tuesday, I think. I should know this by now. Just a little midweek bump to get you through the week there. And you can, what else? Listen to Retro Bites, our monthly discussion show, 15 days earlier than everyone else. You also get extra topics and all sorts. There is also a paid tier for $2. You get all of the above. You get to pick a quick play episode, a game for a quick play episode for a host of your choice. You get the Retrotopia After Dark. You get to comment on Retro Bites. It's all there. Look on the Patreon. It's too much for me to remember, but it's a good time. Go and check it out. And as I mentioned, of course, our Patreons get to comment on the episode in a little section that has been described as the most culturally elegant section of 2025 thus far. It is, of course, the 9-bit banter box. All right then, and first up on the banter box is Mr. Hooley, who says, Alan, has autocorrect ever changed your name to Anal, or vice versa? Anyways, what's your favourite beer, favourite hard liquor drink, and do you like picklebacks? Mr. Hooley, I can't say that it has ever changed my name to Anal, but then I rarely have a reason to type my own name, like on a phone or what have you. So, maybe it's in my future. I hope so. I look forward to it. And okay, now we're getting to the real questions. What's your favourite beer? That is a long and rather sordid list. I do like my IPAs. I would have to say, like, if I'm put on the spot, it's probably something by Brewdog. Maybe the Hazy Jane Guava is a really nice drop. I do also really like Tiny Rebels Club Tropica, which, again, sort of quite hazy, quite fruity IPAs. That's generally my speed. My favourite hard liquor drink is absolutely a single malt whiskey. I'm down to the dregs on a bottle of Lagavulin, 8-year-old, and I'll be very sad to see it go. It's been a wonderful drop. I love my single malt whiskies. And do I like picklebacks? I have no idea what a pickleback is, but do you know what I'm going to do live here on the show? I'm going to look up what is a pickleback. Good radio. Let's see. A pickleback is a shot of liquor followed by a shot of pickle brine. The term can also refer to the pickle brine alone. See, what, you just like down some whiskey or something and then drink some pickle juice? I don't know about that. Is that a popular thing? Like, over there. I've never heard of it. That seems a little weird to me. Don't know. But thank you, Mr. Hooley. Moving on, we've got Blobby Rogers, who says, it's Friday night. It's not. It's actually Wednesday night as I record this, but nice try. It's Friday night. You just scooped up Kirby's Adventure for the NES. Some of your best mates are coming over to play with your new pink cream puff suction cup. What's on the menu? Food, drinks, or whatevs for September 1993, Allen and Company. I mean, I didn't really have many occasions to have people over and play video games. It was usually just me and my brother, but that said, I mean, drinks wise, I mean, I used to love Dr. Pepper when I was a kid, so it'd probably be some Dr. Pepper or Panda Pops. Yeah. I wonder if those still exist, Panda Pops. They were like these little stubby bottles of almost like they looked radioactive, frankly, like bright blue fizzy drink, or pop or soda or whatever you call it where you are. Actually, I quite like the names pop and soda. I mean, we just call things fizzy drinks, and it just sounds so British. We'd probably have some cheap crisps, like we had the Space Raiders or Frazzles, like bacon flavoured crisps, or Monster Munch. Oh, now that was a good time. And I was a bit of a fiend for like the fruity flavoured sweets like Skittles or we had Fizzy Jerks back in the day. Fizzy Jerks. They were basically like a tube of sweets. You know, like fruit pastels or what have you. But they looked like bottle caps. And that was very British. Bottle caps. Bottle of water. But they were all different coloured. And they were fruity and fizzy and, just delicious. So probably some of those, or Skittles, or Opal Fruits, or all sorts of, I don't know if you know any of these names, if it's just a British thing, but lots of sweets, crisps, and pop or soda. That's what I would be eating. Or, a Pizza Hut, because why the fuck not? Thank you, Blobby. The Big Deal says, seeing as how you're on the other side of the pond, can I just hear you say, Mega Drive? What other local jargon do you use for things that are gaming related? Well, obviously Mega Drive is the big one, and it's obviously no secret that I'm always correcting myself. Like, I can't say Genesis or Mega Drive without sort of saying both. It just sounds weird to me. Even though I do like the name Genesis, it just sounds weird to just say that. I feel like I'm cheating. So I usually say, the Genesis or Mega Drive. I don't know. What other things? I suppose we always used to call the Super Nintendo the SNES. I don't know if that was a thing that was done over in the States. I'd never heard somebody say SNES until I'd heard an American say it, so I don't know if that's a difference there. I suppose a lot of the other local jargon is mostly just down to the game rage, just swearing. A lot of bugger and bollocks and Britishisms. Sorry, Big Deal. Not much of an answer for you. I just can't really think of anybody else. Oh, I suppose the Mega CD, we had that as well. The attachment for the Mega Drive. So, funnily enough, I think you guys called it the Sega CD. Comme ci, comme ça, Tomato. Thank you, Big Deal. So Wildcard comes along and says, since you guys are talking about one of the best Kirby games of all time, I have a weird mix and match fusion type question for you. If you could mix and match the abilities of two Marvel characters for yourself the way this game does, what two characters / abilities would you fuse into yourself? I suppose Marvel characters, okay. Don't really have time to go deep into Marvel lore, and you've asked me a question and I've completely forgotten every superhero I've ever heard of. I suppose I would want the abilities of Spider-Man. He's my absolute favourite superhero out of any of them. So, the abilities of Spider-Man, and how could you make Spider-Man even cooler than he already is? Do you know, I don't know if this has ever been done, but maybe Spider-Man's abilities and Nightcrawler's abilities. So you have a Spider-Man who can react at split second and just teleport all over the place. He'd be unstoppable. I'd be unstoppable. Yeah. Plus, I've always wanted the ability to teleport. It would make my daily commute that much easier. So yes, web swinging, teleporting, and all of that good stuff. That sounds like a lot of fun. Thanks, Wildcard. Moving on, Blame the Hoagie Man says, so, Alan, I'm sure you enjoy your pubs from time to time, but what's the name of a pub in your area that you would consider, as you Brits would call it, is for tossers? Blaine, I love you, buddy. I'm not about to start slagging off pubs in my area. There's absolutely no chance that they're going to be listening, of course. There are a few pubs that no longer exist that, arguably could be called a pub. Yeah, but then saying that, if the people who went there are still there listening to this, do you know what? I'll be diplomatic. I will say that any pub that I am currently in is by default a pub for tossers, because I am a tosser. And I will bring down the classiness of any establishment just by my physical presence alone. That being said, some of my favourite pubs in the area, I will shout out the Growler Stop down in Dartford where I live, because it's probably the best drinking establishment not only in Dartford but beyond as well. So big shout out to the Growler Stop. I fucking love that place. Brilliant beers. And then finally, Unbuckled Cape said, "Oh mighty collector, for some reason I cannot. I'm gonna paraphrase this. For some reason that I can't imagine enough to think of, you can now only buy games for one of your retro systems, but you are not allowed to play them. Which system would it be? And in an alternate universe, you, the collector, can buy games for all your retro systems and only play one of them. Which would that be?" Well, I'll answer the second one first, because that's easy. If I were only allowed to play one system, it's the Mega Drive or Genesis. Because I just fucking love that system. I grew up with it. All of my favourite games are on that system. That's a no-brainer. I would play the Mega Drive over anything else. As for the other question, I can buy games for one system, but I'm not allowed to play it. In which case, then, I would probably, I don't know, something like the PlayStation, or I don't know if I can cheat a little bit because I don't actually own one yet. Maybe the Sega Saturn, because some of those games can be really expensive. So if I can't play the system, then why not just collect the games as a bit of a nest egg for my old age? Because the prices are only going to go up, right? We've all seen that. So I don't know, if I have to play it clean, then I guess I'll say some of those more expensive PlayStation 1 games, and then just sit back and watch them increase in value. All right. Wow. That was a lot to get through. Thank you very much, guys. Loads of fun as always. I really, really enjoyed that section. So what have I been up to? What have I been playing before we get into the meat of the matter? Well, I just finished Assassin's Creed Mirage yesterday, in fact. I love an Assassin's Creed game, so that was a good time, as always. Been playing Kirby 64. I started it on Monday. I finished it yesterday, so that tells you everything you need to know about how long that game is. Pokemon Violet, I've still got on the back burner every once in a while. Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds is a game that I've been dabbling with for a future episode of this show. God, what else? We finished Borderlands 2 finally, and we're just about to start Gears of War 2 over the weekend. So lots on the plate, as is usual. It never rains, but it pours. And that's it. That's all I've been playing. So this thing, the Gentleman's Interlude, whatever.
Good evening, folks. Tonight we bring you a most unusual and chilling story. In a bizarre turn of events, local farmer Jack C. Thomas claims to have been devoured by the notorious intergalactic pink blob Kirby. Yes, you heard that correctly. Kirby, The very same that appears in the 2000 Nintendo game Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards. This cosmic entity has taken center stage in the most unexpected of stories. But what's even more unsettling is Jack's surprising revelation that he enjoyed the experience. Our field reporter, Stanley Hardcock, spoke with Mr. Thomas earlier today. Stanley?
Thank you, John. I'm standing here with Jack C. Thomas, a man whose life was forever changed by an encounter with the pink spherical figure that is Kirby. Mr. Thomas, can you walk us through what happened?
Well, it's a strange tale, all right. It were the summer of 2000, just after Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards dropped for the Nintendo 64. I were out in the barn, tending to the cattle, when I felt this odd sensation. Like something was pulling me, like gravity were changing. Then right before me eyes, this big pink puffball appeared. Kirby, you know. I weren't scared, surprisingly calm like. Before I knew it, I was sucked right in, like a big vacuum cleaner.
Incredible, you were physically eaten by Kirby. What happened inside?
Well, at first I thought I were done for, but then, well, it weren't so bad. It's all squishy and warm. Cozy even. No pain, no struggle. Just floating. Kinda like being rocked to sleep. I could hear Kirby's cheerful little giggles from inside. It were peaceful. I thought maybe I'd end up in some cosmic void, but it felt more like a hug.
Unbelievable. And this experience, did it change you, Jack?
Oh, change me? Sure did. I got a whole new perspective. Kirby's a lot more than just a puffball. He's an experience, not like what the folks think of him in the games. But I gotta say, I've never felt so calm. The 64 version, the Crystal Shards, well, it made me realise something. Maybe we're all just trying to find our place in this crazy universe, just like Kirby.
Fascinating. Now, for those who might not know, Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards was developed by HAL Laboratory and released in 2000 for the Nintendo 64. It's one of the more unique titles in the Kirby franchise, blending puzzle solving with platforming. But Mr. Thomas, would you recommend being eaten by Kirby again?
Well, if he come calling, I might just say yes again. It's an experience you won't find anywhere else.
Thank you, Jack. An unforgettable experience indeed. Back to you, John.
Well, that's certainly a new take on cosmic horror. Thanks to Jack for sharing his unusual adventure. In a world filled with mysteries, perhaps it's best to embrace the unexpected, just like Kirby, who, despite his innocent appearance, can offer an experience unlike anything else. That's all for tonight, folks. We'll keep you updated on this strange cosmic tale as more details emerge. Until then, stay safe and keep your distance from any unusually large pink entities.
All right, and thank you, Alan, you weird bastard. So before we get into the episode itself, we always like to hear what you guys think of the game. And since you guys picked this game, I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about it. So, Fallen Snow Kiku says, I firmly believe that Kirby is a series with no bad entries in it. That said, this is my least favourite Kirby game. I played it for the first time last year, and while I enjoyed it, something just didn't click with me. I definitely agree that Kirby is a series with no bad entries in it. Um, is it a series with any exemplary entries in it? Oh, we'll see what we think. Full disclosure, we haven't recorded the episode yet. That's happening within the hour. I'm sure we'll get into the series as a whole, but okay. Yeah, I respect your opinion, Kiku. I'll save my thoughts for a little while. Wildcard said, why the fuck had this mixing of copy abilities not come back? It's so fucking awesome. Wildcard, I like your enthusiasm. I like your pluck. And I agree. I before 2 days ago, I was not aware that this ability was a thing, and I have to say, I agree. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I don't know why it's not come back. Um, Fucking Nintendo. And finally, Unbuckled Cape said, finally, someone is reviewing the best Kirby game. Okay, so that's maybe debatable, but it does hold the most fond memories for me. I played this game over and over, taking turns with my sister until we collected every one of those damn enemy cards. And once we 100% the game, we went back and did it again. It was fun to play as other characters and mix and match power ups. I wholeheartedly believe this to be a top 3 Kirby game. I listen. Full disclosure, I didn't. I completed this game. I didn't 100% this game, so I didn't collect all of the crystal shards. I don't know if that's what you were referring to with enemy cards, or if there's just something in the game that I missed. It's possible. I was on the clock. Um, but I agree. I genuinely, genuinely enjoyed my time with this game, as brief as it was. Thanks, guys, as always, for writing in. We love to hear your comments, your thoughts, your questions, and all the rest of it. It's a good time. So let's mix and match some power ups, stuff our face with as much food as we can find, and don't forget to look adorable while doing it as we discuss Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards, released for the Nintendo 64 on March 24th, 2000 in Japan, June 26th, 2000 in North America, and June 22nd, 2001 in Europe. Thanks for listening, guys. Enjoy the episode. All right, and we are back to talk about our Patreon poll-winning episode, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, and quite famous for having power combos. And speaking of power combos, I've got one right here with Sam and Brian. How you doing, fellas?
Oh, that was brilliant.
Yay! That was awesome.
Doing really good. Was this our first poll winner? Did we have a poll before? I can't remember.
Yeah, we
anymore.
did. I can't remember what game, but we had a poll
Did a
before.
poll
I think
before.
it was a scary game, BioShock. It was
Nice.
BioShock.
It's the first. It's the first poll winner of 2025.
I liked
Yeah,
this
that
better
was
than
a long
BioShock.
walk.
Here's my hot
Really?
take.
Poll.
Man.
Right. Okay. Episode's over.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I like this game fine, but BioShock is BioShock. Jesus.
Yeah,
All right, guys.
I'm shocked that you don't like that game.
First of all, I would like to know how both of you guys are, and then I would like to know, what do you think of Kirby as a series in general? Brian.
Okay, I'll go first on this one. Wow, I'm doing good, buddy. I'm goddamn busy. I'm catching up. Well, I'm not actually catching up on schoolwork. I'm actually getting ahead, and I'm just doing this one project that is both time consuming but really fun to do. It's a lot of like little minute details, but no, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Awesome.
And Sam, how are you?
Didn't you have to answer
E?
what you think of Kirby?
I'll get into
What do you-
I'll
what do
get
you
into
think of
that
Kirby?
after.
All right.
Well, let's
I'm doing all right. We were chatting about it a little bit on the pre-recording, but it's getting warmer here, so I've been trying to get outside a little bit more, just myself exercising and getting the dogs out. We've all put on some winter weight, so it's time to start getting myself back in shape for the summertime bathing suit season.
yeah.
You know, everyone wants to
Oh,
see me
baby.
in a little mankini, so
Pics, please.
Nothing like Sam doing his strut on the Wisconsin beaches.
oh
That's
yeah.
right.
Well, we
We'll get
we
those.
have those. So
We'll get those pictures for
You
free.
say
Everyone
that-
else will have to pay for them.
you say that, but we do have beaches on Lake Michigan. We have a lot of lakes.
Awesome.
And
Yeah, we
and
have those
places
same
to-
lakes.
places to be beachy, but not fun beaches like, I don't know.
Nude beaches?
No.
Asking the important questions.
places
Brian.
places where actual nice beaches are. California, Florida, South Carolina. Those are nice beaches. I don't know.
I love
Anyways,
it.
this has been Beach Talk with Sam.
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to let you go until you finally petered out.
Yeah, I did.
I'm just like fall asleep. Yeah, beaches. Yeah.
I think that was a ways back. It's just beaches, beaches, beaches. Ah, so Kirby 64. Kirby's kind of a weird one, right? Because
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of a Nintendo heavy hitter, but it's not your Mario, it's not your Zelda, it's just like it just chugs along, right? Like, what do you think?
It's the weirdest heavy hitter. It's the weirdest game that became popular for the Nintendo that I can think of. Like, Kirby himself was literally just a placeholder, and then they're like, "Yeah, fuck it, let's just use this pink little blob," and then he turns into this phenomenon.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
how
So, yeah,
I
it's-
like that placeholder story where it's like, well, we'll just draw like a circle with some legs and little arms, and it waddles around, and we'll fix it in post. And it's like, oh no, we'll just roll with this.
You can see why, though. I mean, the thing is, he's fucking adorable, right?
He's
It's like,
yeah.
it's become iconic.
Actually, Kirby is genderless, I believe.
Oh, is that right?
Is neither male nor female.
Oh,
I've
I
heard.
was not aware
Why
of
would
that.
you? I don't know why every conversation has to turn into sticking our dicks into stuff. It does not matter if Kirby is male or female. in
really
this game
doesn't.
because
Yeah.
no,
I've got to be honest, though. I mean, I was not aware of any of this, and I am not huge into the Kirby lore. You know, I've played a few of the games. Yeah, I'd say a healthy handful of them. I don't know much about like the development. I don't know much about the world that they live in, the characters, and this, that, and the other. Just fun little games to just switch your brain off to and just enjoy, I think.
yeah. Well, it's meant for kids. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
not supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be accessible to the youngins.
You say
Although-
that though. You say
Although
that though.
it gets a little bit of teeth. That's on the later levels of this game.
Yeah.
Well, that's for when the kid needs mom and dad to, finish the game for him.
I've played some Kirby games where even mum and dad couldn't do that. I mean, generally speaking, you've got your very, very, very simple, very easy starts. It's all vanilla ice cream and cookies and sunshine and light, and then by the end of it, you're fighting biblically accurate angels and spitting lightning in the face of a god. And it's just like, what the fuck happened in between?
Yeah. He is a
It's
real like
No.
Lovecraftian horror, isn't he, Kirby?
Yeah, absolutely.
He would be one of the best horror characters ever because he has that cute little smile and those big doby eyes just come up, and then all of a sudden he just consumes you, and
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Swallower of worlds.
Just horrifying stuff.
I will say this though, like the Kirby games really, I just kind of look at the NES, the Super Nintendo, the 64. Like Kirby's never there at launch, but he does like, and we're gonna refer to him as he. Whatever, it's an it, but whatever.
It doesn't
It
matter.
really doesn't matter. Kirby just comes in off the bench like late in the game, like late in the life cycle of the system, and usually the games are pretty goddamn good. And it's funny because like they've been around long enough that you can really get the most out of the system, but also like they're not the most technically advanced. Like it's not a fast game by any stretch,
No.
just on the Nintendo, I was thinking of that one specifically. Like the graphics are great for the Nintendo, and the colors are nice and everything. And I don't know.
They are
It-
just very, very solid games.
Well,
Yeah,
I've never played
Yeah.
a bad one.
Kirby's Adventure, which is the second game, was one of the last games on the NES. So
yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
That's true. That's true. So
And
speaking
could you combine
of,
powers in that one? Sorry, Alan.
No.
Could you combine
No.
powers in that one or just one? Okay,
I think this is the only one that you can do that in.
I like it. It's pretty cool.
I fucking like it.
Okay,
as well.
so all right, I'm just reading up on it. So yeah, Kirby's Dream Land was for the Game Boy.
Yep.
So this was the only Kirby game on the Nintendo, and the one that I guess kind of kicked off the entire thing.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
that
is
Game
that-
Boy
yeah.
game is its own kind of thing. You can't absorb powers.
We
or
did that
anything. We
one
did.
for early episode. The
Did-
game wasn't terrible, but
No, I like that game. Did we ever release that
I don't-
one? I thought
did?
we
Yeah,
did.
we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is our second Kirby game. Oh.
It is. So
Yeah.
what's your experience with it? Have you guys played this one before? Is this new to you? What's
I
going on?
had, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
I have never touched a Kirby outside of this podcast.
oh man,
No, that's a lie. Sorry, outside of the podcast and on the Switch.
I liked
Okay.
I like this game. I actually do have a little bit of I didn't have a copy of it, but a friend of mine did when I was growing up, and so we'd play around with this one a little bit. This was one of the games he had, and also Battle Tanks, which we should probably cover at some point because that's a fun like vehicular combat game. But yeah, that and Kirby stick out to me from his Nintendo 64 collection, and I liked it. I thought it was, I would always try to like see what kind of different combinations I could get with the powers, and I don't know if I ever finished it as a kid, but I did finish it for this time around. It's pretty fun.
Nice. Yeah. No. Like, was it 2 days ago? I started this game for the very very first time, and it was a Kirby game, so I know it was going to be a good time. I was aware that it existed, but I've never seen a copy of it. I've never played it before, and yeah, I specifically signed up for the NSO expansion pack just to give it a go, and yeah, I enjoyed it. Really,
Was it
really
worth
solid game. Well, I mean, looking at some of the other things that are on there as well, yeah, hell yeah. I think
Yeah, that
I'm
might be a
signed-
question for later. Like, what
Yeah.
is Alan looking forward to playing from the expansion pack for Switch Online?
Ooh, I'll have to trawl through that. That being said, though, I mean, this to play a copy natively on its original hardware is not cheap. It's not cheap.
Is it really? I'm gonna look at. Sorry, not to like. This has been collector's corner.
on the
Yeah.
on the N64, a copy of this over here is about £120.
Is it
Or
really?
quid.
God,
That's pretty
too,
goddamn heavy.
That's too much,
Mm.
especially when you can play it on the Switch Online.
Yeah.
Loose here.
I'd
it's
spend
$43.
Yeah, spend the $50, get the N64 controller for the Switch, and you got the same experience.
There you go.
Yeah.
And given that this game is probably only about 4 or 5 hours long, £120 is a hell of an asking price.
Yeah, that's too much. It's not as pricey here, but definitely I did play it with my 64 controller. I don't have the official one. I have that knockoff one, but that works really well. And I always was pretty, I guess, interested in this game just because it was one of the only titles on the 64 that actually ended up being, and maybe I'm talking out of my ass and there's ones that I haven't heard of, but like as far as like mainline AAA, especially like first party, I don't know if you'd call this first party, it's made by HAL, sorry. But it's one of the only like side scrollers for the 64. There's not a lot of side scrolling games or even games with side scrolling elements on the 64. And this one specifically, you cannot use the stick. It's the D-pad. And it felt really, really fucking weird to hold the 64 controller by the end of it that you usually don't touch.
Yeah, I can imagine. Fuck. And you're right.
See, I had no problem with it. I actually found it more comfortable holding the controller by the D-pad than like
Oh.
shoving my hand into the middle stick.
Oh, I agree. It just is weird because it's like mentally I'm like I'm holding this controller, and usually it's holding the right two handles instead of it was always weird because it's like why is this D-pad even here when I don't use it? It was such a fucking weird controller.
It's weird because that controller is so fucking strange, but you've kind of trained yourself to use it the way that they expected you to, so that when they throw a curveball like this, it's just like, well, now I have to hold it like an actual fucking controller. I'm going to have to relearn how to do that.
Right. The only game that I can really think of that had D-pad, and I think you could use either the D-pad or the stick, was like the puzzle games. Like I think the Tetris game that they made for 64 and like Pokemon Puzzle League and stuff like that. Those you could use the D-pad.
Makes sense.
But
Some games use the D-pad in a roundabout way, like item selection and stuff like that.
yeah, but it was weird because you always had to like take your hand off of like one handle of the controller and fully move it over to use it and then back. It doesn't work very well. It's a weird It is a weird controller. But I really wish that there were more side-scrolling games for the 64. I wish they would have made more like this.
Yeah,
Like, could
that's
you
the other
imagine?
thing that caught me off guard. Like,
Yeah.
I think you mentioned it, Sam, was that, we're in the era where 3D is being shoved down our throat and they make
Mhm.
a 3D side scroller where you're basically on a 2D platform.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, it did move in 3D space a little bit, but you are, from a control perspective, you're only moving left and right, where like the screen or the the level itself will kind of like rotate sometimes, like going up a tower or like turning a corner to go into a castle or something like that. But that's really the only like quote unquote 3D thing that the game
Yeah,
does.
the game was made 3D, but yeah, like you could just lay it out on a flat platform there. The 3D is only just using the environment, but nothing changes. The controls don't change as you turn around things.
Yeah,
Which is
and I
It's
wonder.
good,
Yeah,
because I can't.
it's a neat way to use 3D in a 2D platform.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I said I wish they would have done it more. Like, could you imagine if they would have made, um, oh,
GoldenEye.
oh God, no. But like, if they would have made another Mario game for the 64, like there would be, it would have sold. It would have been, unless it was just really, really, really good. I don't think people would have liked to go backwards from Mario 64 being at what it was, and then like, let's say they release another Mario game on the 64 and it's not 3D. Like, they
Oh,
kind of really
think about
typecast themselves.
like I know what you're saying on that one, but you got to remember that they've done that. They've regressed Mario back to a 2D platformer and then kind of did a hybrid
Mm-hmm.
where it's a 3D game on a 3D environment, but it still functions like a 2D platformer.
Yeah, Mario 3D World. But this is much later.
Yeah.
Like in 1998 or 1999, they're not going to go back and make a 2D Mario.
No, well, they're shoving 3D down your throat to
Yeah,
compete
like-
with other, like, Nintendo 64 had a lot to prove at this point, too, because PlayStation came out and basically wrecked them.
Yeah.
And they were trying to prove that cartridge-based systems were just as good as CDs with better load times. And obviously, we know how it turned out now, but at the time, it was the new war was brewing. Sega was on their way out, and PlayStation just entered the fight. Yeah, it was a good time back then.
Oh yeah. And this is an excellent, I think, an excellent game for that very reason. I mean, can you imagine like the power ups, the combos that you have to do? You have to literally launch your power up at another enemy in order to combine powers and then get a new one. Can you imagine trying to make that shot in a fully 3D space on the N64?
Ugh.
How there'd be some lock-on system.
Well, maybe,
No, fuck, like,
maybe.
let's put it this way: in a 2D environment or a 2D quasi 3D environment, I still wasn't able to make that shot.
No,
Like
okay.
I started with the Switch controller, and I was throwing the powers into the air straight up, and then I took the N64 controller. It made more sense,
Yeah.
but I still just pitched the goddamn powers away, and sometimes I did it accidentally because all four C buttons pulls the power out of Kirby there, and he just gets ready to throw it, and there's no way to put it back in you.
I tried to play it undocked, like pull my Switch off the dock and play it that way, and my my Joy-Cons have drift. And like,
Oh,
since the C
no.
buttons are operated by that right stick, Kirby would just randomly like eject his powers and throw them straight up in the air. I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not playing it with this. I went back to the TV.
Oh no! See, I played this just completely handheld, and like I didn't have that same problem. I don't think I must have not been hitting that stick. I don't know why, but no, Brian, I completely agree with you because there were so many times in this game where I'd just be. I think I'd lined up a shot only to have it like go just over or just under. It's pretty precise with where it wants you to throw these power ups. And
Yeah.
some of the times, yeah, I would just launch it completely skyward. And not even when I was trying to actually combine powers, I just forget what button I was pressing. Because
Nothing drove me as nuts as when you threw the power finally successfully, and then it like nicks the ground and disappears before it hits the enemy you're aiming at.
or hits one of their projectiles or something like that. Just
Oh,
Oh
basically-
yeah,
that
happened a
was the
couple of times.
worst.
Oh,
Honestly,
Yeah.
if it hits their projectile, it should just turn into whatever the power is, because they are throwing their power at you, right?
That's true. That's true. I agree with that. Absolutely. But I
Yeah,
mean, go on.
I don't know. I don't know what I was really gonna say there. Like some of the as long as we're talking about the powers, we should talk about like what our favorite combinations were, because there are some good ones and there are some stinkers, and I think that's on purpose.
Yeah.
Oh
But
yeah,
first, we should explain that you can stack the powers, because we never
Yeah.
really got into that.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
there's there's 7 different powers or 7 different types of enemies, and you can stack the powers. And when we're talking about pulling your power out, Kirby takes the power, it becomes a star, and you can throw it at another enemy who gives you powers, and then the star will double up, and you get a combination of both their powers.
Yep.
Which can either be really awesome or a fridge.
Right. That is probably the worst one.
It is a crapshoot. Although that being said, at least the fridge gives you some health.
Yeah, that was fun.
Which
Yeah.
is about the
You're like-
only use for it. But it's like, why the fuck am I a fridge
Yeah.
all of a sudden?
Brian was railing on the fridge, like saying it sucked. I was like, yeah, but did you know you can eat the food that comes out of it?
I did know that. It actually healed me, but I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? Because I would
Yeah.
use the fridge power, and the door would open, the light would come on, and the enemy would still hurt me, and then I'd have to spit out more food to heal myself.
Yeah,
The
it
fridge
is-
would
it
be
is-
better if it was like a close range, like you could open the door and smack someone with the door.
There you go. There you go. That's a simple fix to it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or you sit there with the door open, and an enemy walks up to you, looks in the fridge for food there, and you slam the door on his head, killing him instantly.
Yeah.
Blood everywhere, kids screaming.
That's a great
Yes.
way to like get someone on a diet. Like, don't go in the fridge or you're gonna get hurt.
Or, if it's a nuclear explosion, get in the fridge. Like fucking Indiana Jones.
But what combination of what's it called? What combination of elements do you have to use to make the fridge? Because I'm looking at the thing and I can't find it.
It's electric ice.
That's right.
Is it electric ice?
Yeah.
Ice, or they call it ice spark, but that's the
Oh,
fridge.
there it is. Yeah. Oh, God.
It looks cute though. Look at his little face.
Yeah, I'd love my fridge staring at me.
That'd actually be a really cool, like if you had the fridge that had the a lot of fridges now are like side by sides, but if you had like an older style fridge that had the top part be the freezer or whatever, that'd be so cool to paint it pink with eyeballs and make it a Kirby.
I could go for that.
I'd do
Okay.
it.
In fact, most of
trying to picture it.
our fridges over here are the top and bottom. We don't. I guess some people have the side to side ones, but
Oh, and they're
most
also
of the time.
called an ice box.
an ice box. No, it's called a fridge and a freezer.
Alright.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah. But I mean, I love this combo thing. Like, and
It was actually a bright spot of the game.
Yeah.
right, and it's never been done again. And for the life of me, I can't fathom why.
Yeah,
But-
it's so cool.
When I think of Kirby, when I think of what I know about Kirby, it's like every game has this really good idea, and then they just never repeat it.
That's true.
Like, except for the initial, powers of Kirby. You can suck in an enemy, take his powers, spit the enemy out, and then they added later on the ability to turn to a rock or a stone and then flump down to the ground.
Yeah, yeah. I mean
But
that
not in this game.
that basic like gameplay loop has always been there, but it's just like, what was the one that was was it the Forgotten Land?
Forgotten Realms, yeah.
That
can
that
actu-
one's the 3D one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he can sort of kind of suck himself around very large objects. Jesus. Okay. That came. That's how that came out. But like cars
Well, that's where-
and shit like that, and
Yeah, Kirby becomes a car. I think you can eat a refrigerator in that one too. Like,
that's true.
yeah, I like that.
That's-
That was a cool. I played a little bit of that game.
I
but
enjoyed that.
I should
game.
get back into that one. It's a cool game from what I played of it.
But did you guys have like a favorite combination or anything like that you found?
Yes, absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
looking at the list, trying to think. I mostly ended up. There was one where you had the drill, and you could either throw the drill or you could use it, and you would float forward.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
That'd probably be my favorite.
That one's a cool one.
Yeah.
I liked
Boing.
I liked bomb cutter. That's where you get like the little cutter guy or like boomerang or whatever, and then a bomb, and then he throws exploding ninja stars.
Oh, that's
That
yeah.
one was,
that was
that one was
so
excellent.
Because at first I didn't think it was actually doing anything, because the stars basically disappear and then reappear, like literally stuck in whatever you're aimed at. And
Yeah, it's like he whips them so fast you can't see it.
yeah, and they just fucking explode, and it's awesome. I can't remember what combination of things. It was probably the electric and the cutter. But Kirby basically got a fucking double-ended lightsaber.
Yeah, like a Darth Maul lightsaber.
Yeah, I popped when I saw that. I was just like, I mean,
Yeah.
it was fine, it was useful, but it was just like so cool to look at.
And then the other one I really liked. What? Oh,
We've gone again without making an episode without avoiding Star Wars.
I mean,
Oh,
come
well,
on.
you
To
know.
be fair, I mean, like he literally has a double-ended lightsaber in this game. What the fuck else was I supposed to do?
it's pretty cool.
I know, but I'm just making my point.
Kirby's
But
so
yes.
slow though that I didn't tend to keep that one
Oh,
if I got
yeah.
it, because I don't want to get into close quarters, because Kirby cannot move very fast at all.
No.
I was going to ask you guys if you found any form of running or anything, because he
Yes.
just sits there like a lumbering moron, just like taking so much fucking time to move forward, and
Yeah.
without a run button, it's frustrating.
There
There
is running,
is.
but it's hard to activate. You have to double tap forward or
Yeah.
back and it's
Oh.
really dumb.
And
Like-
I discovered that well over halfway through my playthrough. So for the majority of the game, I was crawling. But and then I was
And
like,
one-
oh, for fuck's sake! Like he
Once
can
he's
run.
running, it's kind of hard to stop him too.
That's true. And the thing is,
Yeah.
as well, is like when you're running it, like there's not much momentum. So you are running, but then a jump is almost just like a normal speed. So it kind of slows down when you're jumping, and then you start
Yeah.
running again. It's kind of weird. But
He does like
yeah.
a Naruto run though, where he like closes his eyes, like throws his little hand flippers back, and just goes for it.
That's how you get the speed. That's aerodynamic. That is.
Yeah, which sucks though, because like I hated the double tap to run, because you had this 64 that's full of fucking buttons, like the most buttons that you can have on a controller, for fuck's sake. And and half the buttons in this game have to do with like ejecting his power and throwing it. Like all of the C buttons and the shoulder buttons made him eject his power. It's like, can we just make one of those buttons a button you hold to run? Like one of the shoulders would have been fine. You know,
What about
like
the trigger on the back of the N64 controller. Which one's that? I can't remember what button that is.
the Z button. Yeah,
that's it.
but
Z.
The Z.
could you imagine like having to push Z while you're holding both ends of the, like sneaking your finger around the? It sounds horribly
yes.
sexual, but like, gonna sneak my finger over there and touch your Z button.
Ooh, delightful.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
The only acceptable pronunciation of Z. Like, it's weird. Like
Oh, why would you-
I would say Z for literally everything else, but Dragon Ball Z does not sound right. So
No, it
yeah,
sounds
No,
dumb.
it does sound dumb.
because we've sat there, watched it, and every time the announcer came on, it was always Dragon Ball Z.
Next
Dragon
time
Ball
on
Z.
Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah. Speaking of
There
which,
it is.
we should cover a Dragon Ball Z game. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
There we go. Yeah, right in the middle of Kirby.
Right in the
That's
middle of
kinda
Kirby. Let's just
telling.
stop and start talking about Dragon Ball Z, because
I mean, this.
It's kind of telling about this game, isn't it?
Well, it's not
Well,
the
it's a
longest
fine
or
game.
the like.
No.
It's a great game, but it's not the longest, meatiest game to talk about. I mean, the powers
was-
are amazing. The combos are
Yeah.
fantastic. Most of them. There are, like you said, there are some duds.
yeah.
Generally speaking, like anything with the stone, I just don't get the stone as a power up at all.
I like how with that one, Kirby turns into a stone version of Kirby, and then if you get the double rock, it's just a bigger version of that.
Yeah. And you
Oh,
could also
man.
turn
Another
into
one of my
some the-
favorites.
Oh, go on.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, another one of my favorites.
No. You go ahead.
Another one of my favorites was the Spark Stone, because it was basically just like a rock and then like a bolt of electricity, and the rock would just kind of like float around on this electric tether and fuck everything up. It was awesome. You could just
That was-
stand there and let that go.
That was OP as fuck. I
I know.
got that. I got that once, and it's practically a screen clearer. And that's the thing
It's
with some of these things.
awesome.
It's just like some of these abilities are so overpowered.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to bosses and things like that. It's just like you need to do fucking very little, but just spam the B button or whatever, and just oh, job done. Lovely.
Yeah, that's a critique, I guess, is when you get to a boss fight, it's like, if you've got a pretty decent ability that you've been holding on to, all you got to do is just like mash the button to,
Yeah.
There's very little, how in some games, like you have to hit the boss in a specific spot, or sometimes they go through periods of invulnerability or something. There's none of that in Kirby. You can just pretty much, with the exception of the final boss, I'd say, but you can just pretty much wail on the bosses.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. It's just, and it's a great looking game as well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Is it a great looking game?
It's fine I don't love the graphical style of the 64. I don't think that's aged very well, but it looked fine.
Yeah, because I don't know if they cleaned it up for the NSO, but
no, I think it's just a port.
Well, exactly, and I thought this game looked. It's bright, it's colourful. Everything is really nicely defined. I just thought it looked pretty fantastic, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the best looking game I've played on the 64, where the graphics kind of tend to hold up, is Paper Mario really worked well for me, I think. The first Paper Mario. I thought that looked good.
Kind of looking at some screenshots of Kirby and then Yoshi, what's it called? Yoshi's Story.
Oh, Yoshi's Story looked good too.
But yeah, Yoshi's Story holds up really well, whereas Kirby 64 looks like they use just straight up 3D chunks and tiles to build their game. So it looks dated, where Yoshi's Story actually still kind of looks good.
Yeah, Yoshi's Story definitely had more texture to it. The environments, they really, yeah.
No doubt, but I mean, I think I'm going to be the voice of dissent here. I really enjoyed how this game looked. I mean, and it's a Kirby game, right? It doesn't have to look fantastic, and there's nothing particularly complicated. But I don't think it's all right. It's not maybe the best looking game on the N64, but it's far from the worst.
Yeah.
I just love how we didn't have to argue with you. You kept defeating your own arguments.
Well, no, all right. You know what? Fuck you, Brian. This
it's not
game,
good. It's just not bad.
This game is the greatest game on the N64. There we go. Episode over. No, I was playing. I was just I was really impressed. I just thought it looked really, really nice. Yeah,
Oh, I think I'm not in disagreement. It is a very nice looking game, but we were just kind of the conversation of N64 graphics at the time. And, well, it looks great. I mean, they didn't put a lot of effort into the background. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I didn't notice it while playing, so obviously it's not a huge deal, but a lot of the background is very
empty.
Blocky, I guess would be the term. You can see the seams and the tiles and stuff like that. And
I see. Maybe I just didn't notice. Maybe I was just swept away in the charm of this little eldritch abomination.
Yeah, but that's absolutely fine. I'm not trying to poo-poo on you. I'm just having a little fun at your expense.
Well, I feel poo-pooed on. I am covered in
sorry.
poo-poo. That's right. You son of a bitch.
Did you guys collect all the crystal shards? That's what I'm wondering.
Fuck.
I did not.
I didn't even finish the game, and yeah, I skipped a lot of them.
Yeah.
I was down a pit. Fuck you.
Well, there were some that I think you have to go back with specific powers and try to work out how you. I think that's where they try to layer in a little bit of replayability on this game. Is that you get a different ending if you get all the shards, but you don't have to necessarily get all the shards to play through the final boss and roll credits on it. I didn't take the time to go back because I just didn't find that fun, because Kirby's so slow that you could take your time and let me go see if this power would work to grab this shard, and then you take your time to try to figure out where in the game you can get it, and then travel all the way back to your level where you have the shard, and then get to the point where the shard is, and it's too much.
Yeah,
too much fucking around.
Yeah,
I agree with
and his flying was painfully slow as well. It felt like you're trying to maneuver a blimp.
I mean, you are. Let's be honest. I mean, yeah, I
He
completely.
has little arms and he's a flapping them away. He
Yeah,
can go a little bit faster.
he's just crueling though. It is incredibly so, and I guess that's kind of a Kirby thing. Although I don't remember the other games being quite so slow. I feel like the little
Yeah.
guy moves
Oh, they
in the
are.
other game. Are they? It's
Yeah,
it's been a minute since I've played another one, but
I don't know if
Crystal,
they
yeah,
added this, but
go on.
you know how like when you inflate yourself to float up,
Mm.
this you have a limited time in this game where he'll like start to like he's been holding his breath too long. He'll start to like wave his arms like fuck 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 fuck, and then like let his breath out.
Yeah,
Um, I think in the original Game Boy game you could just float through the entire level if you could or wanted to. Like there was no time limit on
I think
how
you're right.
long you could stay inflated.
I think you're right. That
Which
sounds
I'm
right.
glad they added that because otherwise it's like, what are we doing here? Like all you have to do is inflate and float yourself through the entire level.
It's already an easy enough game
Yeah.
without adding that in. But I did today go back through some of the levels. Like I guess like I beat it yesterday, and I was just like, you know what? Let me just go and see if I can collect a few of these crystal shards because you not actually explained that that's basically the whole game is about collecting these crystal shards, and for what reason I don't know. Like the game
Right.
tells you basically fuck all about the story, and I didn't bother to read like a manual or a blurb or anything like that. But you got to collect these crystal shards in every level and at every boss for some reason. And where they were sort of fairly easy to find, I went for them. And when there were power combos that you needed to unlock a certain area in order to get the crystal shard, I was like, okay, well, if it's in the same level, that's fine. But then, as you said, I got to like a couple. It's just like, well, you need this combination of powers to get through this particular brick wall, but they're not in this level, so you have to go back, you have to get them, you have to come back to this one. I was just like, all right, like maybe I'll do it one day just to see the proper ending, but nah, that just seemed like a bit of faff.
Yeah, I would do it with a guide, but I would not go back and try to like completely do it again, just trying to do trial and error just because the game is way too fucking slow for me to
Sure, I was looking at a
try to
guide.
trial and error. Yeah.
I had like 3 days to play this game in, so I played it legit, and it was just like, all right, well, let's just look and see where some of these ones I missed are. And it's just like, no, that's too much hard work. I did watch the proper ending.
Yeah, what happens? Because I didn't. Yeah, what's kind of the ending? And sorry, spoiler alert, I guess, but
For
it's
a Kirby game.
so who cares?
I mean,
What was what was the ending?
well, I mean, after the final boss, it looks like you sort of go to another area. You basically chase that final boss down, and it just turns into this. I think there's like a very short level beforehand, and then you're into this like extra boss fight, and it's basically this giant floating eye with massive wings. It basically turns into Star Fox at that point because you're flying around just shooting crystal shards at it, and
Oh, that sounds fucking cool, actually.
it actually looked like a lot of fun, and it looked significantly easier than the boss prior to that, which I did. That was the only part that I had any difficulty with.
Yeah,
Um,
that guy was tough.
it was tough, but I think it's basically the same guy just turns into a giant. I just like I said, a fucking biblically accurate angel, and you're just shooting random parts of it to whittle it down, and it looked like a blast. It's just I don't know if I can be bothered to do everything I need to do to actually face it.
Yeah, I just that final boss. Like, should we talk about that? Because the final boss is actually quite a challenge at first. Because you kind of
Mm.
have to get used to, you know, if you were cruising through this game on some of Kirby's more overpowered power combinations, you are in for a surprise at the end because that final boss does not allow you to hit it with any sort of acquired powers. You have to. So basically, how it starts is it's like this shielded orb, and then it kind of transforms into the different elements. But you have to absorb and hit it with those elements while it's still in that form. Because if it turns back into the original sphere or any of the other forms, you can't hit it with any of the other elemental powers.
Yep.
So that actually was kind of tough. And some of those forms that it takes were pretty hard to. You got to kind of learn how to avoid some of that stuff. Like I thought the rock one was kind of hard, and I thought there was one, I think it was the bomb power, but it like shot out these little like weird bubbles. And the way those floated around was pretty erratic. Erratic. Sorry. It's thought of erotic. No,
Erotic.
anything that floated around in kind of a random pattern is really hard to avoid from Kirby because he's so fucking slow.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the rocks every time that would fuck up my playthrough of that. They take up quite a lot of the screen, and it's really hard to get anywhere where they don't drop. It was either that or go on.
You know, you get the shot off. It's like, yes, I jumped up and I shot it, but like right as whatever you shot at the thing approaches it, it turns back into the main form where it's got the shields up. It's like, fuck, the shields would go up right as it hit.
and that fucking lightning power as well was just awful. Where he's just shooting beams around the screen, and they can go off the screen and then come back at the opposite corresponding corner of the screen. So it's just like you basically have to keep an eye on fucking everything.
Right.
So I'm watching a video of the final boss battle while you guys are talking there. And when you get the powers, you can actually double stack the powers on the final boss fight. So the guy ended up getting the fridge. And he shot food at the last boss and actually hurt him.
Shut your mouth. Really?
No.
You've got...
I'm not kidding you.
That's someone who's so good at the game that they're just like, look how good I am at this game. I can fucking beat the final boss.
He just got close enough, and he just opened the fridge door and let loose, and the sandwiches hit the guy, and it was hurting him.
That's just
very silly.
That is such like the net out of Ocarina of Time or something like that. Yeah, it's just like the stupidest thing that you just think, well, that's completely fucking useless, but you can actually hurt the final boss with it. That's ridiculous.
It was funny because as you guys were talking, it was actually pretty interesting because you were talking about the different parts of the boss battle, and as you said, like the rock one really got me. It started showing the boss as the rock there, and it was it was like you're commenting on this YouTube video because obviously I didn't finish the game, so I have nothing to add for that final boss.
It is
remarkably as far as.
It is. It's a hell of a spike considering that no other boss in the game gives you any kind of trouble.
Right, and no other boss in the game requires you to unload, like you can't keep any powers.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Like you couldn't just, I'll just acquire a rock and an electric and have that thing float around. It wouldn't matter.
No, and that was the mistake I was making for the longest time, is that I would be trying to use the powers as they were meant to be, but you really just have to just grab them and spit them back out again.
Yeah, you can't even save it over to the next form when he drops his shield because it can't be hurt by anything except for the one that's...
No, as I was watching this, the guy had double powers and it was hurting the guy.
I don't know.
Like I said, he used the fridge, right?
Yeah, that fridge must be some sort of like tongue-in-cheek. Like this thing has been useless the whole game, but watch it beat the final boss. I think
you need one of the powers that the form of the boss is to make it work. So like if you had ice and electricity, it would work on the ice guy or the electricity guy.
Yeah, I guess I could see that working. I never tried it, but that's really interesting.
It just makes it such a long fight, doesn't it? If you're just like, I'm going to hold on to this power to use against the electric version of the boss.
You can get rid of the power and, restack the powers later, right?
Yeah, I know, but it's such a pain in the ass to do that. I don't know. Because it doesn't hold its form for all that long.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't.
Use it as you get them, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just I'm sitting here watching the biblically accurate angel right now, and it's a goddamn rail shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Culminates in a rail shooter.
Looks fun though, right?
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Panzer Dragoon, eat your heart out.
Fuck you, Star Fox. I got Kirby.
I did not expect a Panzer Dragoon drop in the middle of a fucking Kirby episode. Like that's
we have Panzer Dragoon at home, and it's Kirby.
So what else have we got to talk about? I mean, the game controls fine, I guess. Bit slow. Looks
Besides,
there's some debate as to how it
picking,
looks.
yeah, just a little. How does it sound?
Fine.
We didn't talk about the music and the sound effects.
No,
I
thought-
can't remember for the life of me. Was there the classic Kirby theme, the one that plays in all modern Kirby's? I don't know when it first came out.
Oh, like the Green
Might have been the
Greens?
first game.
Like
I
the
mean,
Green Green song, kind of like that first.
yeah, that is.
Do 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 do.
It must have, but I didn't really catch it.
Do you know?
I think it is. I think it is in that
remember
first level.
hearing it.
Yeah.
I think it's in a
That
few
planet
levels.
pops
I mean, that's the only like music I can remember from this game.
Oh, okay, so it must have been there. Maybe I just didn't notice.
Yeah, I think Kirby is just one of those strange series which is like musically, it's got to be a very easy game to do because a lot of it is already written. And I know you could probably make the same argument about Zelda and stuff like that, but it's like I was listening to the music in this game. It's just like, well, I've definitely heard this before. This is, and it's great. It works for familiarity. It's just, oh, there you go. It's again, I don't know the levels and shit like that, or the names of the tracks or anything like that. But it's just like, yeah, I've heard this one in another Kirby game. Feels like I'm home. Brilliant. But
well, doesn't every Kirby game always start the first level with the tree boss?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mhm.
That's a staple.
So originality is not their strong suit.
No, but somehow it's worked for what?
Yeah.
30 some
I
odd
liked
years.
this one. I liked this one because it was a little bit different. It wasn't just straight on. The tree is at one end of the screen and you're at the other. You are, you're still moving in a 2D space, but you are walking around the tree, which I thought was fine. I mean,
that was actually a pretty fun fight. I did enjoy that one. The only thing I would really knock this game for is a dedicated run button, like you said.
yeah.
Just literally something to make Kirby go a little bit faster. Even if it was you skidded to a stop or something, it'd still be better than the ass-dragging slowness of Kirby in this game.
Yeah, that was.
And
that was
it,
pretty
honestly,
bad.
it kind of takes away from the enjoyment of it too because you're going so slow. It's like walking through Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Wow, that is that. There you go. That's the tagline right there.
Right.
That's spot on, Brian. Spot on.
That's just my unprofessional opinion.
No,
But I got nothing left.
Yeah,
It's
I
true.
don't really either. It's a fine game. Like I'd suggest if you haven't played it and you have access to it on the 64 online, I'd give it a play. I don't know if it's worth, certainly not worth it in the UK. But I don't even think it's necessarily worth the $40 or $50 that you would pay for it here unless you have some sort of nostalgic connection to it. It's just not that long of a game.
It's like 10
I don't know,
bucks an hour.
Yeah, it being available on NSO gives you absolutely no reason to buy a copy of this game. It's not worth the purchase. Like Alan said, it's like a 4-hour game when you complete it.
Yeah.
For me, that does not warrant £100 price tag
No.
or above £100 price tag because that's like $200 in Canada. And fuck, I'm paying $200 for a game
Mm.
Well,
of this low caliber.
What's kind of funny is I think, the reason that, part of the reason that it's inflated in Europe or in the UK is that they didn't get this game until 2001. So we got it in summer of 2000, and in the UK you didn't get it until the summer of 2001. And by that time, like, the N64 is starting to wind down a little bit, and maybe it didn't get as big of a release or it just didn't sell well, and so
I'm starting to realize why a lot of Europeans like the Sega Mega Drive is because you didn't have video games beyond that. Not until 2000 and something.
We
Yeah,
had,
like things
had the
generally.
finest video games going, chock full of blast processing.
you either didn't get the release or you got it kind of late, and by that time
I also
is it
don't
cool
remember
anymore?
Kirby being like super big over here.
Yeah.
I don't think he was huge over here either. I think he was just kind of one of those games that was kid friendly.
Mm.
So back in the day, parents would look at the box and be like, "Oh well, the amorphous pink blob is obviously not going to teach my kid to murder."
He might.
Little do you know that he does extra murder. He does so much
Oh yeah,
murder.
he'll eat you up and shit you out.
Oh yeah.
Well, I did see when I was looking through some of the like review highlights. I think this got pretty mixed to mid reviews, and like one of the publications said, it's good for like younger gamers or old people that don't game very much. Like it's if you're a gamer of any level of skill, you might be bored by this game.
Well, my kid, not the Forgotten Lands, but the one that came out before that, when he was young, he used to play that like just constantly on the Switch. And he beat it so many times that he actually would just use it as a way to finish something. So he got that, dopamine hit from completing a game.
Beating a game.
And just
yeah.
watching him, yeah. He just sits there and is like basically an automatic, laying down on the couch with his head hanging off the side, wiping the floor with the enemy because the game was that easy.
Well, there you go.
You know
and
what?
that's
That's
going to be his. Yeah, it's going to be his comfort food in like 20 years' time.
He won't touch it anymore. He
Oh.
played that game to death.
He
I was
will.
gonna say that's a good point. Next time I'm having trouble with the game and I'm frustrated or I don't want to play it, I'm just gonna play Kirby and be like, you know what? I can beat the fuck out of this game.
Just unless you have to get all the crystal shards, then fuck that.
No, I'm never gonna do that. Sorry.
This whole episode, we're about 50 minutes in, and not one of you has said Crystal Shard yet. I'm proud of you, boys.
Oh,
Well,
damn it. That's an opportunity missed.
it was going so well.
Somebody has to derail us.
Yeah.
Oh
I got
god, we've
nothing
been
else on this
derailed.
game,
We've been
honestly.
derailed the whole time. Like,
Yeah, we paused and talked about Dragon Ball Z for a while. Like,
Yeah. I love these episodes where we just get like distracted because there's not a lot of meat in the game.
yeah, we found a
It's
way
like-
though, didn't we?
we found a way. All right.
Yeah, we just turned into a fridge and shot it out.
Love it. I will eat what you should. No, I won't.
Oh,
I'm gonna stop there. It might heal me. All right, we're dancing around it. Who's gonna summarize? Who's gonna give us their final thoughts?
Let me do it because mine
Yeah.
are short.
Do
Yeah.
it.
Oh shit! Parkade collapsed in Ottawa. Huh. Well, I shouldn't read the news while recording. Anyways,
No,
Kirby
Jesus, that's
64.
horrible.
Kirby 64 is, I guess, fun for the time. I guess it's a good game for the time if you're a Kirby fan. Not something that I think would be good to entice a new gamer to play. So overall, besides the sluggish movements of Kirby, this game is perfectly fine to play. It's a game you can sit on the couch and just, melt away into the nothingness of problems and all that crap and just play a video game. Couple of frustrating things like playing with the N64 controller actually made the game a bit easier, but I still threw my powers into any which direction that was not the enemy way too often. So that kind of frustrated me. And the more I tried to make sure I threw it at the enemy, the more time I spent motionless, trying to do the button combination. It was harder than some fighting games at points. But yeah, long story short, that's about it. That's all I have. The sound, I don't really remember much about the sound. It was very, I guess, generic to me, so I just kind of tuned it out. Overall, I will give Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10, just because it's, it's for the kids, so I can't take points away because I didn't like it as an adult.
Fair.
That's fair.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Should I go next?
I mean, we can shit on
Do it.
we can shit on games all you want, but you got to remember who the game is targeted to.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
yeah.
going to factor into my kind of final thoughts as well. I think it's a fine game. Am I going to go back and play? Am I happy that we played it? Am I happy that it won the Patreon poll? Yeah, it was fun. I had a good time with it, and I every now and then I do like to play something that's not difficult. I know what I'm getting with a Kirby game, and it's just kind of fine. I have extra points for the combination of powers, which, unless we're incorrect and we're just not very familiar with Kirby games, I don't know that they've done since. They should bring it back for sure. If they make a new Kirby game for the Switch 2, let's get it. Let's get some new powers. Let's make a dedicated run button. That was really shitty. What else? There was another thing. The music was fine. Graphically, I thought it looked fine for a 64 game. I really like that they made this a 2D, basically a 2D side scroller. I wish there would have been more 2D side scrollers on the 64. I think that was, something that I think we all got caught up in 3D at the time and kind of lost sight of how much fun a 2D platformer can be. I don't know. Yeah, but like you said, it's not for us, really. I mean, it is for kind of your more casual gamers or your more novice gamers, like a kid. This is a great game to start with as a little kid. But yeah, it's fine. I'm gonna give it like a 7 for me.
Nice. I tell you what, like, I am ecstatic that I played this game. I'm very,
Wow.
I am very, very happy that it won the Patreon poll. I am overjoyed that I got to play it because it saved me £120 or thereabouts.
There you go.
Because this game has been on my wish list for quite some time. Again, I never played it back in the day. I had no experience with it. I like Kirby, fine. I'm a big fan of Kirby games. They are simple. They are maybe aimed a bit below my... Well, to be fair, a lot of games are aimed below my age bracket. But it's not a very long game. It's not worth the asking price for a cartridge over here, certainly. But it is a joy to play. I think it looks great. I really enjoy the visuals. The sound, again, it's what you expect from Kirby. It's just upbeat, just non-intrusive, just going along in the background there. Nothing special. And that's kind of what Kirby games are. They are not necessarily breaking down boundaries or innovating or doing anything like that. They're just nice, easygoing, solid little platformers. The power combination is definitely the main event here, and like both of you have said, that is something that I think we could definitely do with seeing a comeback of that, because I really do appreciate that not only do you have the powers, but the mix and match aspect of this game is really where the fun is. It's just finding out what am I going to get next if I join these two together. It's a perfect game for Nintendo Switch Online because it is very short. It's a nice little quick win, as has been said. I just really enjoyed playing it. I thought it was fun, and in the end, isn't that what we want? Just something that's just a bit of fun.
Yep.
Bad radio, but I think I'll give it a 7 as well.
Yeah.
How's that bad radio?
Because I'm
That's
agreeing
actually-
with Sam.
We're all agreeing. Yeah. It's just kind of there.
Well,
but we don't
After a
hate
while,
it.
after a while of being together, our cycles sync up. So
Oh, God.
Yeah.
our scores are going to sync up too.
Right.
7, 7, 7.
It is a 7 game. It's a pretty blasé game. It's
Yeah. I'd probably play it
it's
again.
just-
Right.
well,
it's
I
like
mean,
it's,
if somebody
it's
put
not
a
good,
gun
but
to my
it's-
head,
It's not good. It's not bad.
Yeah. No,
it's okay for what it is. Like I'm not gonna sit there and shit on it. I mean, we've played worse.
Yeah, for sure.
famously so.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know how to summarize my thought here. Just I don't like or hate this game. I nothing this game really.
Well,
It's hard to explain. Like if you told me, hey, we're gonna play Kirby 64, I'd be like, yeah, okay. But if you're like, hey, do you want to play Kirby 64? I'd be no.
no,
It's
yeah. I mean,
a weird.
oh yeah,
It's a purgatory of gaming want.
Well, maybe that's where everyone that Kirby eats goes, to the purgatory of gaming want.
It's a
He goes to go to his anus.
Kirby
Ah.
64, the net neutral of video games.
All
All right, what do we got next week? Let's move on. What do we got next week?
What have we got next week?
Oh, it's
Brian.
Yeah, I don't
another
even know.
famous Sam and Alan episode.
Okay. Oh, that's right. It's I think it's going to be Altered Beast, which is a
Oh, is
great
that next
game.
week?
I love it. I don't know. Let's figure that out.
We'll work.
It's going to be
idea.
something. We swear to God, these two are going to play a video game, and they're going to probably like it, but maybe not.
We have no idea
Yeah.
what we're doing.
We've got some other ideas in the pipeline for Sam Allen episodes, but I think the first one and the one that's easiest to kind of knock out while we do some other things is Altered Beast. So
I love it.
we'll look for
Love it.
that coming up soon, and we've got some other interesting stuff in the pipeline.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Brian,
No.
people want to
Yes.
hear about all that, know about all that. Where can they find us, Brian? Tell the
My
people.
God, if you want to join us on social media, you can find Sam, you can find Alan, you can find myself, you can find our Instagrams. Still have a Twitter and a Blue Sky, but we're not as active on those. But you can find all that at linktree/Retrotopia. That's linktr.ee/Retrotopia. Also provides a link to our Discord where you can talk with us and our growing community and just have a little bit of fun. And if you want to support the show even further or have your comments read, either to the host of the show or the host of the intro and your thoughts on the game read, you can do that at patreon.com/Retrotopia, where you can join for free.
Who
That's my
doesn't love
best
free?
Bill Burr impression.
Man, you're so fucking good at
Yeah.
that. You're so good at that spiel. I love it.
Am I? Because I'm like playing with a screen wiping cloth
Okay.
right now, and I'm just talking like I don't even remember what I said.
Not the worst thing you could have been playing with right there. All right.
Well, it's wrapped around my penis.
Gross. That's going to do it then, guys. Who wants to sign us off? You know, I usually
Oh my God.
have a
Ah,
sign off,
you
but
know-
I suck.
You know mine are terrible. I don't know. Until next time, throw sandwiches at your enemies. That'll do it. Why don't you throw a sandwich?